What's your mom is going to kill us story? I tried to boil an egg in the microwave in a coffee mug when I was 8. I think I put it in for 5 minutes. Well, 7 seconds to 0 it exploded and blew the door open, and me being the window licker I was at the age of 8 had my face like 3 in a way. It gave me 2 black eyes and thankfully knocked me down before the burning magma egg covered the kitchen. Luckily I got pity from mom. A few years back, I was crossing the street, legally, and I got hit by a car. The first thing I remember thinking is my mom is going to kill me. If the car doesn't kill you, your mom sure will. My cousin and I thought we should make some baked potatoes because we were super hungry. I asked if he knows how and he said we just wrap them in foil and put them in for 20 minutes cause that's what his mom does. We decided we better go to the store for sour cream and to throw the taters in and they'll be done when we get back. What we didn't know was you're supposed to use an oven for that particular cooking method, and when we returned we had an obliterated microwave waiting for us on the counter. Thank God we had a fire extinguisher and towels around. We were both reprimanded by our parents and we were 16. And we didn't even get to eat. I was 14 and I went to a friend's house on a nice summer day. He was 15. He wants to take his mom's truck out for a cruise. I tell him that's a terrible idea since he doesn't have a license. He insists nothing will go wrong and I should come along. I do, and I am nervous the whole time despite how well he is driving. We get done driving all around town and he is pulling the truck back into its spot when he says see nothing bad hap. Boom, right through the fence. Me and a buddy built a shack for hunting and smocking DBs. One night, 3 of us are getting hammered on MD20-20 and rolling blunts. It gets real quiet and 2 of us notice immediately that our friend's mom was standing at the door. He, the son, had his head down rambling on and on about now this is how you roll a blunt. Mary Jane baby. Too bad we don't have any oxy. Lol. 10 seconds of horrible silence until his mom says we need to talk. She didn't tell us. But it was a long time till we could hang out again. Thank God we're not teenagers anymore. Edit, just to clarify. We never did oxy. We were curious. Is all. Mad Dog was also the cheapest that a few 14-15 year olds could get at the time. It was almost 15 years ago. And the 3 of us involved in the incident don't have any ongoing addiction issues. Some Game of Thrones marathons. Me and my friend ate all the tomatoes in my house. At age 7. That was something we thought my mom would be angry about. Now my mom would be happy if I ate all the tomatoes. Edit, I am a girl and I don't live on a tomato farm. Classic Reddit. I was fighting in the house with my older brother. We're fighting all over the house. Suddenly, he decides he's thirsty and says fight's over. He walks over to the kitchen, pulls out a big glass orange juice container and starts drinking from it. Truce question mark? Duck your truce. Man, I did a flying karate kick into the door, slamming him into the refrigerator. He drops the glass bottle, which explodes like a grenade on the kitchen floor. In about 5 seconds, I had turned completely innocent. Deniable horseplay at home into a kitchen completely encrusted with glass shards and orange juice. Mom and dad would be home in about 45 minutes. Now we had a real truce. We cleaned that nasty mess up. Quietly and efficiently working together. The parents never knew. While this is also one of the dumbest things I've ever done, it was a pretty nice flying kick. I stole a fire extinguisher and set it off on my patio. It was old and once I started spraying it, it emptied the entire large canister in one long continuous spray. All of the chemical spray made it look like my house was on fire. I thought a neighbor was going to call the fire department. I just shut my patio door and watched my patio become engulfed in extinguisher spray. It was like that movie The Mist. You couldn't see shit and if some tentacle alien or religious women came out of the mist screaming about Jesus, I wouldn't have been surprised. Cleanup was a ducking nightmare and made it hard to breathe because of the chemical inside the fire extinguisher. That sheet gave my patio screening great in 4 years. A friend threw a small party at his house over spring break while his mom was gone. We drank a huge bottle of vodka within an hour and one of our buddies, we'll call him John, is beyond drunk. So it's probably 10 o'clock and we move the party inside. We get inside and everything is going good, and all of a sudden John trips over his own 2 feet and falls face first into a glass vase sitting on a coffee table. Everyone, drunk by the way, starts freaking out as John has a huge head wound and is bleeding everywhere. We take him to the bathroom and pour vodka in the cut to sterilize it and duct tape a lot of paper towels to his head. At this point he's throwing up because of how much he drank. He ended up fine and has an ugly scar from it. TLD, our friend got drunk, smashed head on vase. Probably should have went to the hospital. My mom told me not to put my feet up on the foldable table in our living room. When I was home alone one day, I put my feet up on said table while watching TV. Accidentally kicked the table over and sent it right through the glass coffee table, shattering it like my soul. I seriously contemplated running before she got home. This isn't all that bad or extreme, but I was trying to cook chickpeas in maple syrup and I wound up ruining one of my mom's pans. Sorry mom. I was watching my sister, 12 years younger, and I fell asleep on the couch while she was watching a movie. I woke up at 10:30, her bedtime is 8 o'clock, to her happily playing with Legos in her playroom. My mom was due to be home soon and my sister and I both had school, so I freaked out. Told my sister the clock was wrong and it was 8:30. And then hurriedly put her to bed. My mom showed up 10 minutes later. None the wiser. Stepdad and I were washing dishes one night after dinner and we accidentally snapped one of my mom's extremely nice wine glasses. We just looked at each other and knew we were ducked. So we broke all of them and pretended that we never knew they existed in the first place. A week later my stepdad was filling up one of the wine racks with the exact glasses and we told her she was crazy for plus 4 years. We eventually came clean when she was divorcing him. Found a bag of sand in the shed. Like any normal child. Decided to make sandcastles on the brand new patio. Sandcastles didn't wash away. That sheet was cementio. Not me, but my mom got in a whole lot of trouble when she was around 5 or 6. In India, when a child is around 1 or 2 their head is shaven at a temple as an offering to God. Well, one day, my mom and her friend decided to give my aunt, who was around 2, a haircut. She had not yet had her head shaven and the first haircut is always at the temple. So they cut my aunt's hair. A little while later my grandmother comes back from whatever she was doing and flips her sheet. She yells at my mom's friend and sends her home. Then she slaps my mom for cutting my aunt's hair and then she slaps my aunt for not protesting. I have a little trouble believing this story considering my grandmother is the sweetest person ever. Edit, just to be clear. My grandmother was not abusive. There are plenty of kids out there who get slapped and turn out just fine. My grandmother and aunt are psychologically fine and love their mother. Summer before 7th grade I had a motorcycle and without a license it was okay to ride in the dirt by the side of the road. Passengers were not okay. GF and me W no helmet. Worse. Pulling a UIE in the road and ripping in the dirt next to the 30 miles per hour road at 45 was frowned upon too. I had no idea the cop was behind me and conveniently for him, I pulled up and parked in my driveway. Him behind me, lights flashing. It's a state trooper and he's pissed, rattling off all the infractions. And then I see my father walking at us. 6 feet 3 inches 200-pound construction worker glowering. I was far more scared of him than the statty, who stopped talking as my father stuck his hand out. Give me the keys, I suggest. I'll drive it to the shed and park it first. Now, he bellowed. He got the keys instantly. And the trooper, smiling, was getting back in his car. Assuming as I did, my life, summer, was ruined. Pushed the bike back. Went in the house and father tosses me the keys, calmly saying, "Not a good idea to ride anymore today though." Edit, TLDR, father bluffed a state trooper to avoid many infractions. Oh, and I must still be a score floor as this is my dad, not mom. Came here thinking I'd find relatable stories. Logged into post once I realized I completely misinterpreted the title of the post. Mom was driving on a street with no turn lane and invented her own, which was really the lane going the opposite direction. And we kept screaming at her that it's not a turn lane and we're gonna die. She didn't leave the lane until an oncoming car almost ran into us. Never admitted she was wrong. So you can see how I initially misinterpreted Mom is going to heal us. XD. When my brother and I were younger, around 6 and 4, my entire family got invited to this fancy house on the ocean for a weekend. The family that owned it was having a big party or something one day that weekend at this house. It was this huge, fancy house with a ton of windows right on the beach. My brother and I go swimming and then we come out of the ocean and start drying off a little. However, there is a hose lying on the ground in between the ocean and a few feet away from the house. My brother, being the 6-year-old, decides to spray the water all over from the hose, and to specifically spray it into the open window of the fancy house. My mother is mortified and takes the hose away from him immediately and starts scolding him. She literally just looks away from me for a few seconds. Obviously, there was a hose on the ground, and it looked like fun. My brother got to have fun, so I felt it was necessary to also pick up the hose and to spray it all over and into the open window. Not my mom but my neighbor's mom. My brother and I were playing catch with a baseball in our front yard. I thought it would be a brilliant idea to throw it as hard as I could. So I wind up, launch the mofo, and it goes over my brother's head and straight into my neighbor's window. Shattered the sheet out of it. So I called my mom and made her aware of the situation. She let my neighbor's mom know. TLDR, smashed my neighbor's window with a baseball. Turned into oh shit, 2 moms are going to kill me. I was around 15. And I was at a family barbecue. I brought my best friend with me. And we spotted the liquor table and decided to sneak a drink. Then another. The another. 4 cups, yes. Cups, of Bacardi and Sprite. Later I'm sheet-faced wasted and my friend dragged me to my parents' car. I was puking everywhere. And I passed out for a minute. I could still hear what was going on. And I heard my whole family swarming around the car trying to figure out what happened. And my mom repeatedly saying I'm going to beat the shit out of her when she wakes up. My friend dragged me into the house when we got back. Luckily my mom let me sleep it off. And cursed me out the next day. TL. Doctor got ducking wasted at family barbecue. Passed out. Almost got my ass beat by my mom. I had a party at my house when my parents were gone for the weekend. There was one guy who had to drive home, so I was strict with telling him he couldn't drink. He was doing shots behind my back all night. And then drove straight into my neighbor's yard and into his tree. I thought for sure he would tell my parents. But apparently the guy had multiple DUIs and was pretty cool about it. At the time I was mortified. When I was 6, my brother and sister and I were playing outside during the winter, Alberta, Canada. My sister asked my brother if she could get the large icicle hanging from our roof. And of course we asked her to stand underneath it with the sled. My brother threw snow and ice at it till it broke up and my sister was looking straight up. Mom. When my brothers and I were very young, I was about 8 and they were 6. We used to play in the basement by jumping on a poorly secured pipe like a springboard. This pipe was actually the natural gas line leading to the water heater. We had been told not to do it. But as it was in the basement and we weren't being watched, we did it anyway. It was my turn. And I was jumping on it when the pipe broke. We were terrified. But went and told mom anyway. She shooed us out of the house to call the fire department. And while we waited outside, we were so certain we were dead. This was serious, something really bad was going to happen. Mom was going to be livid when she came out of the house. As it turned out, Mom was too busy to heal us with the firefighters and police coming. But then Dad got home. My mom had this lounge float thing for our pool that she loved. One day, while she and my father were on vacation. And I was house sitting. My best friend and I got extremely stoned and decided to go for a swim. I was looking at the float, which had a large inflatable pillow that was covered in mesh, which extended to the base of the float. Lodged under the mesh at the top of the pillow area were about 25 dead Japanese beetles. I was blithering idiot stoned, and I panicked. I started ripping small holes in the mesh to get the beetles out, deciding that I was a goddamn hero and that my mom would be thankful for the beetle removal, and not so mad about all the ripped holes because of the lack of carcasses. After I completed my job, we floated around for a while. As I came down, I realized the terrible mistake I had made. All I had to do was flip the float over and scoop out the beetles from under the mesh, which was not attached to the pillow. Instead, I painstakingly ripped the whole damn thing to shreds on a heroic mission that ended with my best friend and me, both in our 20s, freaking out about how mom was going to heal us. TLDR. I tore apart my mom's mesh pool floaty while I was wicked stoned because I didn't realize that I could remove the Japanese beetle carcasses that were stuck in it by simply flipping the damn thing over. I was 2. This antique mirror that has been passed down 6 generations on my mom's side of the family. Dad had recently bought me drumsticks. Mom left the mirror on the coffee table with the glass facing down. I hit the sticks on the back of the mirror. Mom was not happy that day. Edit, the mirror shattered. I've only seen my mom truly snap twice. The first time was when my brother and I were both pretty young. I was maybe 3 or 4, which would have made him either 7 or 8. We had been arguing in the living room for a long time and any attempt from her to get us to stop had failed. We started screaming at each other and suddenly, we hear a huge crack come from the kitchen. My mom had taken the wooden spoon she had been cooking dinner with and slammed it so hard onto the counter that it shattered. Years later, when remembering the story, she'd tell us that it was either break the spoon over the counter or over our asses. Several years later, when I was in 6th grade, we were being a couple of little pests again at dinner. I was insisting that the school dance started an hour earlier than it actually did, and my brother was pestering her about going to the movies. She finally had enough and went full psycho on the pork chops we were eating with her knife. She got up to put it in the sink, and when she turned around, my dad had taken both my brother and I outside to where we said we had to be. TLDR, cooking utensils take the beatings my brother and I should have gotten. I dared my little brother to light a bottle rocket in the house. He didn't want to at first, but decided he would do it, but he was gonna shoot it into the toilet. Turns out the water that is pushed out by a bottle rocket explosion is enough to shatter the base of a ceramic toilet. Happy Christmas Eve, Mom. This is a throwaway. For a very good reason. I'm 18. My girlfriend is 17. My parents were out with their friends in another state. They were about 5 hours away. So my girlfriend and I decided it's the perfect time to come hang at my place for a while. Fast forward through the day, and we are watching the small TV in my bedroom. Me in pajama bottoms only, and her only wearing one of my t-shirts. All of a sudden, I hear it. The earth stops while I hear my front door open, and my mom calling out that she's home early. Dad had his work schedule change, and I start planning. Girlfriend puts her clothes back on and hides in the closet. I talk to the parents, and manage to hide her flip-flops, which are laying about 5 feet from the door. I get those in my car, and my dad leaves to go pick up something from the office. While he's out, I get my mom to sit down and start watching a loud action movie, and my girlfriend sneaks down the stairs and out to my car. I got a text asking me to bring her Starbucks at 11 PM because of girl problems, which can only be fixed with coffee, and my mom buys it. I walk out to my car, drive up the hill, and drive my girlfriend home. Her dad thought we were at the mall, and my parents never knew she was at our house. If they found out, they would probably try to kill me. Mom will never know.